The rain fell lightly on that cold afternoon as Nathan Carter watched the droplets slide down the glass of his small apartment window. He knew the bitter taste of disappointment better than anyone. At 35, he had already given up on the idea of true love. His world now revolved around his daughter, Sophie, a 9-year-old girl whose innocent smile was the only thing capable of brightening his darkest days. To her, Nathan was more than just a father. He was a true hero, a safe harbor amidst life's storms. Nathan was everything to her: father, mother, protector, and confidant. Seattle was the city where he was trying to start over, living in a simple apartment filled with love. He worked as a computer maintenance technician, a modest job that provided the essentials for his daughter. Despite the hardships, Sophie never complained. On the contrary, her kindness and understanding always touched her father's heart. But the past was not so easily erased. Emily, his ex-wife, had chosen a different path, one that left deep scars on Nathan's heart. Seduced by promises of wealth, she got involved with a businessman of questionable reputation, abandoning Nathan without hesitation. Her disdain for her ex-husband went beyond betrayal. She said without remorse that she regretted marrying a man without ambition and without a future, and that Sophie had inherited the same bad luck. Every word was like a sharp blade, cutting without mercy. When Nathan discovered what Emily had been saying about him and Sophie, something inside him shattered. But he refused to let his daughter feel the weight of that pain. The divorce was swift, and Emily relinquished custody of Sophie without a second thought. Nathan believed his suffering had ended, but he was wrong. A year later, Emily reappeared, demanding custody of their daughter, claiming she wanted to fix her mistakes. But Nathan knew the truth. She didn't want Sophie out of love, but rather to please her current partner, who saw the idea of a perfect family as an advantage to his reputation. The cruelest blow came when Emily, desperate to get what she wanted, fabricated a false accusation against Nathan, claiming he mistreated Sophie. The allegation was taken seriously, and on a dark morning, the police knocked on his door. He didn't even have time to react before he was handcuffed in front of his terrified daughter's eyes. Sophie's gaze, filled with fear and confusion, was the worst pain Nathan had ever endured. The days in prison were pure torment. The weight of injustice, the public humiliation, the fear of losing his daughter. Every cold night behind bars was an endless nightmare. But Nathan did not give up. With the help of a determined lawyer and undeniable evidence, he managed to overturn the sentence. When he was finally released, he was no longer the same man. The experience had hardened him, leaving deep scars. The society that had judged him too late recognized its mistake, but the stigma of injustice never left his heart. The world he returned to seemed different, and within him, an invisible scar became a constant reminder of human cruelty. It was on a rainy afternoon that fate, without warning, prepared an unexpected twist. Sophie, returning from school, shivered as she realized she had forgotten her coat. The sharp wind signaled that this afternoon would not be like the others. Looking for shelter, she found refuge under an awning, watching the wet streets, unaware that, at that very moment, something was about to change forever. When a kind woman approached and offered her an umbrella, Sophie had no idea that this simple gesture would mark the beginning of a new chapter in her life and her father's. Her name was Marie Claire, a businesswoman and founder of a social project that helped underprivileged children. With her innocent heart, Sophie spoke about her father with a sparkle in her eyes, describing him as her greatest hero, a man who did everything to ensure her well-being despite all difficulties. Every word carried a pure and genuine love, and Marie, touched by the girl's sincerity, felt a tightness in her chest. Something about Sophie's story made her reflect on her own life and the choices she had made along the way. A few days later, without either of them expecting it, their paths crossed again. Marie was at the school where she organized social initiatives for children in need when, as she walked across the courtyard, she heard an excited voice calling out to her. "Marie!" Sophie exclaimed, running toward her with a wide smile on her face. Marie smiled in surprise and crouched down to meet the girl's height. "Sophie, what a coincidence to see you here. How are you?" "I'm good. Did you come to help at the school?" Sophie asked, her eyes shining with excitement. "Yes, I come here whenever I can," Marie replied, feeling an unexpected joy at seeing her again. At that moment, Nathan appeared to pick up his daughter. As soon as he saw her talking to the woman, he furrowed his brow slightly, surprised. Without hesitation, Sophie ran to him and grabbed his hand. "Dad, remember the kind lady who helped me on the rainy day? It's her," the girl said excitedly, pointing at Marie. Nathan and Marie's eyes met, and for an instant, time seemed to stand still. Both felt slightly awkward, unsure of what to say. The connection between them was undeniable, though neither could explain it. Nathan cleared his throat and gave a hesitant smile. "I appreciate you helping my daughter that day," he said, keeping his gaze on Marie. "No need to thank me, she's an amazing girl," Marie replied, feeling her heart race without understanding why. After a brief silence, heavy with something neither of them could name, Nathan nodded and held Sophie's hand. "Well, we have to go now. It was a pleasure seeing you again, Marie." "The pleasure was mine," she replied, watching as father and daughter walked away. Even without meaning to, a smile lingered on her lips longer than she expected. That unexpected encounter would leave its mark. Nathan, still closed off to any emotions, tried to ignore what he felt when he looked at Marie. But something inside him whispered that this woman would enter his life in a way he had yet to understand. From that reunion at school, there was no longer any way to deny each other's presence. Every time they met in the courtyard or at the end of the day, a silent connection grew between them. Fate seemed determined to intertwine their paths, and gradually, what began as a casual encounter turned into a genuine friendship. Sophie, with her contagious energy, became the link between them. She already considered Marie a friend and made sure to include Nathan in their conversations and interactions. Every moment they spent together shortened the distance between Marie and Nathan, and without realizing it, they began to open up more to each other. Nathan, always so cautious and reserved, started feeling comfortable around Marie. He found himself looking forward to their conversations at the end of the day, eager to hear her laughter or share stories about their daily lives. For the first time in a long while, he allowed himself to relax. But deep inside, a lingering fear remained, a fear of getting attached and ending up hurt again. He was a simple man, a devoted father, and he couldn't understand what Marie, a successful woman, could possibly see in him beyond that. On the other hand, Marie was dealing with her own dilemmas. She had never planned to fall for a divorced man with a child. But there was something about Nathan that made her feel alive in a way she had never experienced before. He didn't try to impress her, didn't play games with empty words or make false promises. He simply was. A man of integrity, strong yet sensitive, a father who placed his daughter above everything. And that touched Marie in a way she couldn't explain. Every time their eyes met, there was an energy between them that they both tried to ignore, but it became harder to suppress. Nathan didn't want to allow himself to feel anything beyond the friendship they had built, but he couldn't deny what his heart was beginning to whisper. Marie, on the other hand, tried to fight her emotions, but she knew it was pointless. Something between them had been awakened, and with each passing day, the connection deepened, turning into something neither of them could ignore. Just when everything seemed to be falling into place, fate delivered another blow. Nathan lost his job, and with it, the stability he had fought so hard to build. The days grew darker, the bills piled up, and with nowhere else to go, he and Sophie were evicted. The weight of responsibility crushed him, and the worst happened. His body, exhausted from stress and emotional strain, gave in. He fell seriously ill. In the small shelter where they spent the night, Sophie, desperate upon seeing her father so weak, grabbed the phone with trembling hands and called Marie, tears streaming down her face. "Marie, please, my dad needs help," the girl sobbed, her voice filled with fear. Marie didn't hesitate. She left her house without thinking twice, her heart pounding. When she found them, she saw something in Nathan's eyes she had never seen before: fragility. He had always been strong, always Sophie's safe harbor. But now, in this moment, he was defenseless, defeated by circumstances. Without giving him a chance to refuse, Marie took them to her home. Nathan, even in his weakened state, tried to argue, but his voice was faint, and Sophie, her eyes pleading, held his hand. "Please, Daddy. Just this once," she whispered. And at that moment, he gave in. The days that followed were spent recovering. Marie cared for him in a way she never imagined she would for anyone. She made warm broths, ensured he took his medicine, and stayed by Sophie's side whenever the girl showed signs of worry. Little by little, Nathan regained his strength, and as she saw him getting better, Marie made a decision. She used her connections to help him find a new job, one worthy of his talent and dedication. Now fully recovered, Nathan didn't know how to thank her. But there was something more. Something invisible, yet undeniable. Every time their eyes met, gratitude mixed with something deeper, a feeling that silently was growing between them. The daily closeness between Nathan and Marie turned into something far more profound than they had expected. What began as a sincere friendship slowly became a feeling neither of them could ignore. Every shared smile, every lingering glance, every late-night conversation drew them closer, creating a bond that transcended any resistance they still tried to hold on to. Nathan, always a reserved man, hesitant about love, began to realize that with Marie, he felt safe. For the first time in years, he wanted to allow himself to feel again. But fear still whispered in his mind. What if I lose everything again, he wondered, unaware that Marie was battling her own doubts as well. Marie, in turn, had never felt something so genuine before. Nathan was different from anyone she had ever met. He wasn't just a strong and honorable man, he carried an unwavering loyalty and a pure love for Sophie, something that touched her deeply. And it was that love that, without her realizing it, made her want to be closer to him every day. One peaceful afternoon, as Sophie played in the backyard, Marie and Nathan sat on the porch, watching her in silence. Marie took a deep breath, gathering her courage, and then reached for Nathan's hand. "You don't have to face everything alone. I'm here," she said, her voice soft but filled with emotion. Nathan felt a lump in his throat. That was exactly the phrase he had always needed to hear. The truth hit him like lightning. He didn't have to fight against what he felt anymore. He loved her. He had always loved her. Without thinking, guided only by his heart, he intertwined his fingers with hers and gently pulled her closer, looking deep into her eyes. "I'm afraid," he confessed, his voice unsteady. "But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that some people come into our lives to show us that we can start over." Marie smiled, her eyes brimming with tears. "Then let's start over together," she whispered. And there, under the golden hues of the evening sky, they sealed the moment with a soft kiss, filled with promises and hope. They embraced their relationship, and Marie became a second mother to Sophie, filling their home with a love that once seemed unreachable. Months later, on a starry night, Nathan proposed to her. He didn't need grand words or exaggerated promises. He simply held her hand and said, "I want to spend the rest of my life by your side." And Marie, with her heart overflowing with happiness, said yes without hesitation. They were married in an intimate ceremony, surrounded by those who truly mattered. Sophie was the flower girl and with teary eyes said, "My dad found a woman who will never leave us." The love between Nathan and Marie grew stronger. They had 2 children and later adopted a child, completing the family they had always dreamed of. Nathan, who once believed that love wasn't meant for him, discovered that life always holds surprises. Marie, who never planned to fall in love with a man whose story was so different from hers, found in him a love that defied all expectations. True love always finds a way, even when everything seems lost. For Nathan and Marie, this was just the beginning of a blessed journey. This is a fictional story, but it carries a powerful lesson about how God always has a greater plan for our lives. Often, when everything seems to be falling apart, when we feel alone and without hope, it is precisely in those moments that He is preparing something wonderful. God turns pain into lessons, losses into new beginnings, and loneliness into true love. As it says in Romans 8 verse 28, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Nothing happens by chance, and Nathan and Marie's love was a living testimony that, even in the face of adversity, God never stops writing incredible stories for those who trust in Him. Nathan learned that even after pain, God can restore hearts and bring joy where there were once scars. Marie realized that true love is not about appearances or circumstances, but about the essence of the one who walks beside us. And Sophie grew up knowing that faith and love have the power to rebuild homes and transform lives. Life is full of ups and downs, but when we surrender our path to the Lord, He guides us to destinations we never imagined. Their love was proof that even when we think all is lost, God is already preparing a new beginning. If this story touched your heart, share this message and spread hope. Leave your comment, subscribe for more inspiring stories, and help bring love and faith to more people. True love always wins. Thank you for watching and for being here with us. See you in the next story.